start with the block under the base of the skull. So you're going to take the block right behind the head and just lie down on your back with the knees bent so that the base of the skull is right on the block. And we feel those shoulder blades on the ground and the sacrum. And we'll start by drawing the chin down to the throat and then chin up, chin down like you're giving yourself a double chin, and back up. Now let's let the chin rock right and left. So starting with some neck mobility. Good, bring it back to center. Let's remove the block and just place it aside, rechecking that long spine, our triple S. Hands are going to come to the front ribs. Let's take a big breath in. And as you exhale, feel the ribs draw back in toward the body. Start to curl your tailbone up and tiptoe. Lift the spine one vertebra at a time into a low bridge. So we're staying really low, maybe just an inch or so off the ground. Pause in your bridge, pressing into your heel, the ball of your foot, and the big toe. Take another inhale, feel the rib cage expand. Exhale, feel the ribs naturally draw back in towards center. Now we'll slowly tiptoe the spine down one vertebra at a time. All the way until the sacrum comes down. You're going to try that a couple more times. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, lift up slowly at your own pace, one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top of your low bridge, really active in the glutes, take an inhale. Exhale, lower slowly. So you're moving at whatever pace, syncing with your breath, and really trying to find this small movement in the spine, one vertebra at a time. Some segmental mobility for the lower back. And then next time we come into our bridge pose, let's pause. Keep your left hand right at those front ribs and just gently hold the ribs in toward the body as you reach the right arm up toward the ceiling. Now to reach the right fingertips even further, we protract the shoulder blade so the arm reaches longer. That right shoulder blade moves away from the spine. Now take your right thumb and start to reach it up overhead without the ribs popping. So notice if that right rib lifts up into your hand in that left hand and keep it in. And then reach it back up. So this is the action of shoulder flexion, reaching the arm up overhead without moving the ribs. One more time, active in the legs and the glutes, holding the pelvis still. Let's switch hands. Right hand comes to the front ribs, left arm up. Now to get more shoulder flexion, we want to protract, reach those left fingertips even further up. Now reach the thumb back any amount without the ribs lifting up into your hands. So you might notice one shoulder feels different than the other. Really try to keep the ribs out of it. And just feel that left shoulder reach up and back. Good, both hands come back to the ribs. One more inhale here. Exhale, lower down one vertebra at a time. Good, feel that sacrum touch down. Take your block and we're going to place it right on the front rib. So it's probably going to be the longest way across the rib cage. Hold it there with the left hand and the right hand will come behind the head. Right elbow up toward the ceiling. So we want the block, if we can, on those front lower ribs. Take a breath in. Exhale, gently pull the block in toward the body as you lift up. So try not to let those front ribs flare or lift up. Chin is slightly toward the throat. Imagine gazing between your knees or toward the belly button. Inhale and lower down without letting the ribs lift up into the block. Big breath, side and back ribs. Exhale, gently pull the block in toward the lower ribs as we lift up. Chin is slightly toward the throat, back of the neck is long. Draw those pelvic points in. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up, feel the block pull down into the ribs. Back of the neck is long, lean your head back. Now try to keep the ribs in, keep the belly drawing down as we extend the right leg. In line with that left knee, don't let those ribs pop up into the block. Lower the right foot. Inhale and lower down. Let's switch sides. So now the left hand is behind the head, right hand is at the block at your front ribs. Left elbow in toward the forehead or up toward the ceiling. Take a big breath in. Exhale, feel the front ribs pull in, lift up. Chin is slightly toward the throat, back of the neck is long, sacrum right above the tailbone is on the ground. Inhale to lower. Don't let the ribs lift up into the block. Exhale, lift up, feel the block pull in toward the lower ribs. Getting off the shoulder blade, drawing the pelvic points in. Inhale to lower. One more time with an add-on. Exhale, feel the front ribs pull in toward the body as you lift up. Gazing between the legs without changing the ribs or the lower belly or the sacrum. Extend the left leg in line with the right knee. Lower down. Inhale to lower. Remove the block for now. Let's pick up our right foot. You can have the knee fully bent or the leg straight or straight-ish as we point and flex. So when we pull the toes back, that's dorsiflexion. When we point the toes, that's plantar flexion. Notice what it feels like in the back of that right leg. Now bring your hands right to the front of the pelvis as we bend the right knee. Hold the pelvis still as we circle this right hip. So these are going to be tiny circles, both directions, not letting the low back rock side to side. So we're just trying to isolate the right hip. Let's cross that right foot over the left knee or thigh for figure four. If you'd like, arms can come out to the sides with the palms up. You could try to goal post the arms here, but don't let the ribs lift up. Keep the shoulder blades on the ground. And if you'd like, you can lift and lower the left heel. Pushing into that left big toe, helping to wake up that left calf, hamstring, so that back side. Release it down and we'll switch. Pick up the left foot, knee can be bent or straight as we point and flex. So getting that ankle mobility of plantar and dorsiflexion. Hands come to the front of the pelvis, bend the knee, circle that left hip joint both ways without the low back rocking side to side. So it's coming from the very top of that left thigh bone. Flex your foot, cross it over, figure four. Check your triple S, back of the neck is long, chin is slightly toward the throat. We can feel the shoulder blades and the sacrum. Arms can come out if that feels good for the chest. You could also try to bend the elbows in goal post. That's going to feel like a much bigger stretch or pull across the front of the shoulders. So if it doesn't feel good or you notice your ribs are popping up, go back to the arms out to the side. Maybe we add that lift and lower of the right heel, pushing into the right big toe. Release it down. Let's hug the knees in. Take a little rock side to side or up and down. Coming into a seated position. Sit however you'd like with the legs, but let's really feel that triple S. We want ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Bring the arms forward, palms forward. This is wrist extension. Now do the opposite, bend at the wrist. This is wrist flexion. Palms forward, extension and flexion. So go at any pace, but try to get the movement as big as you can in both wrists. It would be normal to have one wrist that could extend or flex a little bit more. So just look, notice any differences side to side. And we'll come into a wrist extension stretch. So palm forward on that right side, but let's flip it so the fingers are down. You can take the left fingers and pull back, so we're just in this position, or you could bend at the elbow and pull the elbow in toward the body while you pull the fingers back. So a little bit more of a stretch for the forearm as well. And then switch. Left palm forward, fingers down. Stay here as you pull back or pull the elbow in toward the body. So this is a wrist extension stretch. Keep breathing into the ribs, front, side, and back. Gonna release it down. We're gonna bring the right arm up. Now we want everything on the right side to lift, like someone's taking your right rib cage, right side of your rib cage, and lifting up. So we want that right ear to get or the right shoulder all the way up to that right ear. Big lift here, but keep that right hip down and we'll side bend. So we're thinking of reaching long here, reaching through those right fingertips, that right pinky. You can let the left ear release down. Now, can you take your left hand and hold those front ribs in toward the body, almost like we're pulling the ribs back a little bit. And that's going to get more of a pull on some of that back and side body tissue and fascia. And then come back up, left arm up, get the shoulder way up toward the ear. Side bend, keeping that left hip down. You can let the neck release. Right hand comes to the ribs. Can you hold or pull the ribs in or back toward the body a little bit? And notice that if that feels any different on the back side of that left shoulder or left side body. Good, come back up, heading to quadruped, hands and knees. We'll do some thoracic rotation here, shoulders right over your wrist, walk those knees in. Left shoulder is really going to stay anchored in place as we reach the right arm out. Inhale, turn the rib cage to the right. It's a small rotation. Make sure that left shoulder didn't just wiggle forward. And then thread it under as you exhale. Inhale, push that left hand into the ground as you rotate. Hold strong in the left shoulder. Exhale, thread it under. Try a couple more at your own pace. This is thoracic rotation, rotating around the rib cage. So the mid and upper back. Switching sides, quadruped. Now this time our right shoulder is going to stay really still. Left arm out, turn the ribs left. It's a small rotation. Thread it under as you exhale. Moving with the breath. Pushing down into that right hand to rotate your chest and your ribs left. Let's come back to cat-cow. If you'd like to be on fist to give your wrists a break, you could do that. And as we inhale, let's extend the spine. So we lift that tailbone up, soften the chest down. You can let the chin look forward and then round the back, tuck the tailbone. Press the ground away with the hands, let the head get heavy. Moving back and forth between cat-cow. This is spinal extension in our cow and spinal flexion in cat. We'll pause in our cat, so rounding the back, spinal flexion, let the head get heavy. Keep pushing the ground away this much, so stay active in the arms as we tuck the toes. Lift your hips straight up into down dog. Heels stay way up high, knees stay bent. You can pedal the feet out if that feels good. But I want you to keep pressing into your fingers in down dog. So pushing into the fingers, active all the way up the arms, up into the shoulders, lifting those front ribs up. Let's walk the hands back toward the feet into our happy squat. Now push into the heel, the ball of the foot, the big toe, spine stays long, push the ground away as you rise up. Okay, we're gonna march it forward from the back of the mat, doing that same shoulder flexion we did on our back. So shoulder flexion is that arm up overhead, but remember the feeling of your hand here. So we don't wanna do this and get the arm really far back if that means popping the ribs. So it might not even go all the way up toward the ear. It might be more diagonal. Let's reach the right arm up, keep the ribs in. And stay here, lifting that right shoulder up to the ear. Pick up the left foot any amount, flexing that left hip. So we're going for this upward reach on the right side. Step it down. Load that left foot. Pick up the right foot. Left arm up. So bring it forward and up. Lift the shoulder up toward the ear. Push down into that left big toe. Step it forward. So almost like we're getting stretched along the side of the body. Right arm up, push down into that right foot, reach that right pinky up, up, up. Step it forward, pick up the left foot. Sorry, right foot, left arm reaches, lift the shoulder up, up, up to keep the ribs in. Good, step it forward, we're at the front of the mat. And let's keep the knees soft as if we had that dowel behind us touching our triple S. Arms reach forward and up, inhale. Exhale, hinge, spine is long. Head to quadruped. Knees in under the hips. Feel that neutral neck, not letting the ears drop below the shoulders. Focusing on those shoulder blades, let's protract. Push the palms into the ground. Our shoulder blades spread away from each other like our arms got longer. And then retract, soften the chest down without bending the elbows. Protract, push the ground away. Retract, shoulder blades draw in toward the spine. Try that a couple more times. Step your right foot forward between the hands. We're heading into a 90-90 position. So the left knee slides in. We lift up, active in that left glute. So almost like you're trying to push that left hip forward by tightening the left glute. Ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Let's goal post the arms. So arms are out to the side. Try not to droop the elbows down. We want the elbows right in line with the shoulders. Now without the rib cage moving forward, can you draw the arms back? Shoulder blades draw in toward the spine a little bit without those ribs moving. Now maybe can you feel like your shoulder blades are trying to push forward through the body to open the chest a little bit more without the ribs popping. So hold those ribs in. Now maybe we're doing tiny squeezes back. So this is our neutral scapula, finding that retraction of the scapula, opening the tissue at the front of the shoulder and chest, staying active in that left hip and glute. Good, hands come down, quadruped. Find that neutral here. Right toes are going to slide back, stay on the ground. Lift the belly up toward the sacrum as if we had that dowel behind us. Reach your left arm forward. Now we're going to stay in this opposite arm and leg position. Spine is neutral. Your left arm, I'm just going to come closer, is going to come out to the side. And then you'll flip the palm, bend the elbow like you're trying to tap your lower back. It's okay if it's way far away. And then bring it back out, flip the palm, arm comes forward. So it's kind of like a swimmer move. The arm comes out to the side. We internally rotate the shoulder to bend the elbow. And then bring it forward again, all while we're balancing on that left knee, right arm. Keep the ribs lifted in toward the body. Lower down, quadruped, left foot steps forward. Keep that right knee down. We're in our 90-90. Ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Give that right glute some firmness. Goal post the arms. Make sure that your elbows aren't dropping down. Keep the ribs in. Tiny little pulses back. So this is retracting the shoulder blade. We want to feel like our shoulder blades are trying to tack onto the back of the ribs. And then once you get that feeling, we want to imagine our shoulder blades pushing forward through the chest, really opening the tissues at the front of the chest and the front of the shoulder. Quadruped, hands down. Find your neutral, chin slightly toward the throat, back of the neck long. Left toe slide back and we stay there. Keep that neutral pelvis, right arm forward. Let's try to hold that left shoulder really still and stable. Right arm out to the side. Flip the palm so you can internally rotate the shoulder, bend the elbow any amount like you're trying to tap your back. And then unwind and reach it forward. So it's just a little reverse. We do a little swimmer action out to the side, bend the elbow. Unwind, reach it forward. And can we do this without the ribs drooping down? Can we do this without arching the lower back? So spine stays neutral. How much mobility do we have in that right shoulder? And how much stability do we have in the left shoulder? Back to quadruped. Take any option here. You can cat-cow, you can circle, you can take down dog if you'd like. wherever you'd like to be for the next couple breaths while you focus on that breath into the ribs. So can we inhale and feel that side to side expansion in the ribs? And can we inhale and feel that expansion into the back ribs? Walk it forward, bent knee, forward fold. Push down into the feet, reach the arms forward and up, same action of shoulder flexion. Get those shoulders way up to the ears without the ribs moving forward. Soften the knees, fold in half, long spine. Hands come down, quadruped. Picture that broom behind you to start, so we leave the neck and the pelvis neutral as we protract and retract the shoulder blades. So protract, we push into the hands, spread away. Retract, our chest lowers to the ground without the elbows bending. Step your right foot forward. This time we tuck the left toes under in our 90-90 or half kneel. Lift up, picture that broom behind you touching the back of your skull, shoulder blades and sacrum. Left glute firm, both arms reach forward. Let's do a little thoracic rotation here. Like an open book, you're gonna pull this right elbow back, let the sternum, the center of the chest, turn right. And then don't let the arm twist you, but extend the arm straight-ish without that forcing you to turn more. Rebend and reach forward. Hold that pelvis still, so we pull the right elbow back. Our chest rotates, but we don't turn the low back or the pelvis. So this is that true thoracic rotation. Just visualize your rib cage doing the turning, but not the low back, not the lower body. One more, keep lifting the pubic bone up toward the belly. Modified side plank, left hand down, left knee slides in, right foot steps back. You could always kickstand or swivel that bottom foot behind you. Hold really stable in this left hip and left shoulder, so don't let that left shoulder wiggle around. Right foot's gonna stay grounded. Take your hand to your front ribs for a moment and pull them in toward the body. Check in with that neutral neck and pelvis. Let's circle this right arm. You can circle either direction, circling forward or back. Whatever feels better on the shoulder. You could also have the elbow bent as you circle. That will be a little less of a pull on the shoulder and the tissues. So make it look however it feels good for you while we really stabilize through this bottom hip and bottom shoulder. Back to quadruped. Let's cat-cow here. Getting the spine moving and that flexion and extension. Left foot steps forward. Tuck the right toes. We're in our 90-90 here. Lift up. Keep the ribs stacked right over the pelvis. Right glute firm. Arms reach forward. Let's do that open book thoracic rotation. Our left elbow bends. The sternum, the center of the chest rotates maybe an inch or two. Extend the arm straight where it already is. Rebend. Reach it forward. Pull that left elbow back as we turn the chest. Extend the arm without letting that turn you more than you already are. Keep going. That right glute stays active. A little bit of firmness there. So we're actively stretching the front of that right hip as we rotate the ribs around a fixed pelvis. So the pelvis isn't turning. The legs aren't turning. Modified side plank. Right hand down. Right knee slides in. You can always swivel right foot out to the right if that feels better. Secure that right shoulder so that the top of the shoulder isn't wiggling around. Left hand to the front ribs, pull them in toward the body. Stay grounded in that left foot. Let's circle the left arm. Strong and stable in the right arm, the right hip. Circle either direction, or you could try both. You could have the elbow bent. Back to quadruped. Your choice here. You could cat-cow, you could circle, you could take child's pose, you could take down dog. wherever you'd like to be. Let's walk it forward into that bent knee forward fold. Spine stays long, you're pushing into the heel, the ball of the foot, the big toe. Rise up, arms come forward and up, get those shoulders way up toward the ears, but keep the ribs in. And then lower the hands down. Let's step our right foot back, soften that right knee, we're in a high lunge. Zipper the pubic bone up toward the belly so that it's not tipping forward. Strong in the legs and the glutes. Let's just roll the shoulders back one at a time. So we're feeling that scapula move. You could also do it with the fingertips at the head of the arm bones. So either one, holding that pelvis still, we're drawing those pelvic points in. Good, let's turn to the right. We're facing the side of the mat. Heels in, toes out. Find your amount of hip external rotation, keeping the low back long. So not sticking that tailbone out behind you, but reaching it straight down, pressing through the feet. Arms come out. Let's side bend to the right. So bring that right arm down, left arm up and over, and pause, just like we did seated. Push down into that left foot, lift the left shoulder up toward that left ear, reach the pinky, reach the fingers, back to your squat. Now left arm down, right arm up and over, side bend toward the left leg. Same thing, push into that right foot, get that right shoulder up toward the ear, and keep alternating these side bends, any pace. You could go a little faster, you could stay and stretch a little bit longer. So by getting that scapula up toward the ear, that elevation of the shoulder blade, we're getting a bigger pull on the muscles and the tissues on the sides of the body, and sometimes around the shoulder and the back. So really let that movement be as big as you can for more muscles to get stretched and pulled, more fascia to get stretched and pulled. Good, and let's switch. So we'll step it back to the front of the mat. Left foot back, we're in that high lunge, back knee is bent, pelvis is upright, we're not tipping or sinking into it. Low back is long. Roll the shoulders back one at a time, or have fingers at the head of the arm bones as you roll. But as we roll, let's make sure we're not popping the ribs forward and arching the upper back. So keep those ribs in toward the body so they stack right over the pelvis. Push into that left big toe. Good, turn to the side of the mat, feet parallel this time. We're gonna do side lunges. You can have arms out, get that feeling of the shoulder blades trying to push forward through the chest, but keep the ribs in. So you can side lunge with that option of arms out, keeping the ribs in, keeping that triple S. You could add arms out and a little bit of thoracic rotation toward the bent knee. Whatever option feels good, you can keep the core integrated, you can keep that neutral spine. And let's come back to quadruped, back to hands and knees. This time we're going to lower onto our forearms. So as you come to your forearms, you could have forearms down, you could interlace, you could flip the palms up if that's comfortable. Slide those knees in under the hips as much as that feels good for that hip flexion. Feel your ribs, your front ribs lift up toward the body. You can protract the shoulder blades a touch. And let's take a few breaths here, really focusing on sending our breath into those back ribs. As you inhale, work on a full exhale. Breathe into those back and side ribs. And let's come onto our backs. Quick little Shavasana here, lying down. You could have the knees bent. You could extend the legs out. You could play around with a little chest opening here. Have the arms out, palms up. You could try goal posting. You can have the block behind the skull again. You can have the block underneath your shoulder blades for a little chest opening here. Maybe supporting yourself with your hands. And just take a few breaths here. Breathing into the ribs, front, side, and back.